Hey, welcome back to another episode of Write Effing Now. I'm Hilary Jastram, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you yet again. So awesome to be on video too. I want to give a shout out to our producer, Danny Galvez, he's just awesome sauce. He's just total unicorn magicalness, awesome sauce. I'm very grateful. Today, we are going to talk about what happens before you actually sit down and start writing. So, this is the preparing to write. You're getting yourself mentally ready. Maybe you're listening to music or you're confused about, hey, can I even read a book before I am getting ready to write? Because sometimes people say, I'm afraid if I read this book, my writing is going to sound like this author. And I've certainly been there myself. I know what that feels like. So I've got all those answers for you and more. We're just going to dive right in like we do. So, what happens before you record even one word? When you're preparing to write, whether you're preparing to write as in putting fingertips to keyboard, or you're getting ready to record yourself, or you're getting ready to even just like start pilfering through the piles of writing that you've written down before and you want to figure out, well, can I repurpose any of this, which is a very popular and efficient thing to do. So what does that look like? What are things that we can do to help ourselves prepare and get into that mindset? There is a little bit of mental gymnastics that needs to occur. I think writing is every bit an exercise in knowing positive self-esteem. And I don't mean that in a toxic positivity kind of way. I mean it in a way of like, you got to have the core confidence to be able to say, I believe enough in what I'm about to write that it should have traction. I feel like it's going to better people. The words leaving my lips or my fingertips, it's going to make somebody's life better. It's going to teach them, it's going to entertain them, things of that nature. And our motto here is we want to leave the reader better than they found us. So you might be noodling around on those things too. So I'm just going to talk to you about some of the approaches that I take and some things that authors and I talk about that are probably going to be helpful to you. So how do you get yourself into the right mindset? I mean, I think the first thing is that it comes back to that self-esteem where, you are really not allowing any thoughts in that are going to stop you. So it's not like saying, oh, I've had a really bad day and these terrible things are happening to me, like my dog got run over or my cat ran away or whatever. If you're a dog sensitive person, I apologize. I know that was hard to hear. I am a dog sensitive person. I truly am. I didn't mean to even laugh at that. But you can have things that happen to you where you have to address them, you have to work through them, you have to talk through them, you have to write through them, whatever it is, you have to come out on the other side. So I'm not saying that I want you to just broad brush over this with toxic positivity and not feel your feelings. I am saying that we're recognizing what feelings are helpful, what feelings are true, because feelings are not facts all the time. Feelings are like, I feel this way. I feel insecure. I feel like I have imposter syndrome, for example. Like, who am I to be sitting up here writing? Okay, that's not useful. That's not useful. It's not even, I wouldn't even call it a fact because you can't prove it one way or the other. I mean, maybe if you were like 12 years old and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna talk to people about how to be an auto mechanic. It's the first time I've ever stepped into a garage. Yes, okay, that makes sense. You probably have some imposter syndrome. It makes sense for what you're doing, but to sit down and to share your message when you've had this, it's kind of an epiphany when the writing bug bites you that I want to share something, then it's really kind of a subjective feeling. We can't just say that okay, so your feelings are that you're nervous about sharing it, so then you shouldn't share it. That doesn't make sense. Right? So you know that you're battling your self. Okay. And this is a large part of writing. I also think this is why people turn to AI. And we talked about that in the last episode. People turn to AI because it takes the onus off their own shoulders. They don't have to prove anything. They know there is a computer out there, there's a program out there that is exactly what it is designed to do. It is designed to fetch information that if we don't dig too deeply, we can tell ourselves that, oh, we know it's been vetted, right? And I don't need to really think about that. Other people thought about that, which is not the case. We know that's not the case. But I do think that's why people turn to AI because it's more comfortable than doing the emotional work. So the first thing that I do, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write, is I don't allow any thought in my mind that is not productive. I don't know how to do that. If you're a woo-woo person, which I don't even know if I'd say woo-woo, if you believe in abundance, okay, and I do believe in abundance, and I do believe in gelling with certain energies and living in those energies so that we then create those opportunities, living as though we already have those opportunities. I believe in that. I truly believe in that. But if you're a person who believes in that, you also know that these negative thought patterns are not ever, they are never, and probably historically, have they ever gotten a person to a better state, right? Negative thought patterns drag us down, they limit us, they make us small, they validate fears also. I should be feeling this, right? I'm more comfortable feeling this because this is what I know. This lack of expansion, this lack of possibility, this is what I know. I feel good here. It's safe here. Nobody can see me here. All of that stuff, that's got to go. That's got to go out in the dumpster fire. We're not doing any of that today. If you're going to start writing, it's with the perfect self-love as much as you possibly can, as much as you can to stop any thoughts that aren't productive. Okay. And then it is also the perfect self-love to love yourself through crappy writing because that first draft, it's not a masterpiece. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many words you've written. I don't care how many words you've edited. I don't care how many words you've read. Okay. That first draft, not going to be a masterpiece. And maybe the more important, I guess we'll say epiphany, realization, maybe the more important realization is that it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a masterpiece because one, if you think it is a masterpiece, then I think the standards are a little bit low. There's always something we can do. It's kind of like I asked my husband the other day, did you like that dish that you just ate? I think we substituted in like a triple cheese ravioli or something in with his usual pasta. And I said, what grade would you give it? And he said, I would give it an A. And I said, well, oh, you won't give it an A plus? And he said, no, because there's always room for improvement. And that triple cheese ravioli mindset is how we need to enter writing. I'm going to get this out right now. And it might not be the prettiest. And actually, people might not even be able to understand some parts of it, right? But I'm just going to get it out. Sometimes, and we talked about this earlier, you may put out a placeholder. So you might go, okay, here's a scene I'm writing with this guy. He's running from the werewolf on the motorcycle or whatever. And I don't really know how I'm going to flesh it out or what decisions are going to be made. So I'm just going to put in brackets, like this is the werewolf motorcycle scene. And you'll come back to that because the idea is just to keep going. So whether you're using placeholders, whether you're using and practicing those mental gymnastics, because self-confidence, core self-confidence in here that you control, that you don't let anybody else into, that is a regular regiment. You will practice that every single day. It's not going to be a situation where you go, man, I've been beaten up my whole life. And I've really struggled with self-esteem, but today is the day. Today is the day I believe exactly the opposite of what I've been conditioned to believe for years on end. That's not the way it goes. It starts with saying things like, I'm not going to listen to that. So as you're writing, things are going to come up, right? They're going to percolate up and they're going to be writing and you'll be like, okay, this is pretty good and everything. And then you get to the spot, oh, I don't really know how to handle that. I'm not quite sure what to say. I want to say this and kind of want to say that, whatever. And then your brain goes, oh, that's because you shouldn't be writing it because you're not good enough. You know you're not good enough, right? You know that. Why are you wasting your time? You don't even know if this is going to go anywhere. Who's going to read this? Really? I mean, listen to so and so in the peanut gallery who's been telling you for years that you're just a better human when you keep your mouth shut, right? All of that crapola granola, that is out the window. So when that comes up, what do we do and what do we say? So stuff like that comes up for me, and it's more like comparison. So I'll read something somebody wrote and I'll go, oh my gosh, that is so good. That's so good. Then I'll sit down and I'll write and I'll go, what are you doing? What you just that person has such a gift and you express yourself in a different way and it's bad. And it's not bad, it's different. It's different. These are different gifts that are baked into our individual writing styles and how we express ourselves. If you look at the writings of, we'll say, Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, Emily Bronte, Catcher in the Rye, some of those more classical writers. And then you look at some of the punchier writers of the day. Dorothy Parker, she's a punchy writer, and even some of the beachier reads and some of the writing that experiments with emojis and things of that nature. And that's what makes those writers' hearts sing. That's what does that, right? And it's not that Dorothy Parker is better than Virginia Woolf or any of those things, or Janet Ivanovich, who is one of my favorite authors. She is hysterical. It's not that she's better. It's not that Stephen King is better. It's none of those things. It's finding your groove, loving yourself in your groove, being consistent and loyal to what that looks like for you, okay? And riding that journey out, giving yourself the best chance possible. So when things like that come up, for me, comparison, I'll be like, oh man, so and so could have written it better, right? I'll go, but they're not you. And they would have written it differently. They wouldn't have written it like this. We have to stop with this idea of, I like this thing so much. It's the only way to do it. Nobody else should ever do it a different way, and that includes writing. And we have to stop with that idea because it's very toxic. It doesn't allow us to grow. It doesn't allow us to love ourselves through every single phase that we're in, whether we're burgeoning, we're fledgling, we're new, we're kind of intermediate, we've done this a while, whatever. Even if we've done this a while, we're still aching and questing to learn, to expand, to grow, to gather new information. We are always hungry for learning, especially when we're writing. So when things like that pop up for me, I simply say that's not true. If I have to say it out loud, I will say it. Now, Hillary, you know that's not true. That's not true. That's just silly. Don't listen to that. Or sometimes I'll just go, nope, nope, and shut it down. I shut it right down and I go back to it. Or I might address it and I might go, oh, that's an intrusive thought. That's an intrusive thought. That doesn't mean that thought is right. I mean, it's just an intrusive thought. Everybody has them. Have you ever been in a conference room, in a boardroom? If you work in corporate, I don't know about you, but I'd be sitting there at the table and I'm listening to them talk about in our marketing metrics and the KPIs and everything, and we're 25% better than we were in this area. And I think to myself, what if I got on top of that table and I just started stomping my feet and it shook all the coffee cups and spilled everything all over everybody's paper and or their laptops or whatever. These are intrusive thoughts. I'm never going to get up on that conference. Oh, first of all, I'm never going to work in corporate again. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm right now, I can say I'm probably not going to. And I know I'm not going to do that. Just because I think it doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it. So we're taking a long cut around to saying you have to come up with some ways to cut yourself off at the pass. You can say no. You can have a prepared sentence. That's not true. Sometimes if it keeps popping up, I'll go, what's really going on? What's the matter? What's the truth here? What's hurting? Why can't you move forward? If I'm truly in my head, if I've positioned myself as being stuck, I'll do an exercise to get unstuck. Okay. And sometimes that might mean like I'll type the same word over and over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes something. I might type the same sentence over and over and over again until it becomes something. I might shift and work on a backstory. I might shift to work on a different part of the book that I'm more excited about. So there's different ways to get ourselves, quote, unstuck, which I still believe is judgment because we are judging ourselves in that moment. So you have to be ready to do that. On a prettier note, you can also do things that are more fun than grapple with your own brain. So, for instance, to prepare yourself for writing, you might listen to music. I have found Fantasia 1, and I don't know when that came out, but I love the movie. So I can have that playing in the background because it's classical music and I don't have words that I'm listening to. Some people will be like, okay, let's say I love 80s music and I'll just listen to it. Like if somebody, an orchestral movement of orchestral maneuvers in the dark, for instance, right? Or something like that. Or like Crowded House, Don't Dream It's Over, but it's all violence. Okay. I can't do that because I will hear the words and then I'll be typing and then Joe step foot on the path and don't dream it's over, try to catch the deluge in a paper cup, right? I'll just so you have to find what works for you. Classical is a great example. I love classical too because it can be very dramatic and very emotional, and it can take you different places. Now, when it comes to things like, should I read a book, for example, like I used to be afraid if I picked up a Stephen King book. If you've been watching this podcast, you know I'm a huge Stephen King fan, right? So I would pick up a book and be like, oh, I'm going to write like Stephen King now, and then it's not going to be original, and I'm not going to feel good about myself, and I won't have struck my own chord, which is important. As a creative person, you want to feel like you have made a novel, I don't know, invention in a way, right? Like nobody's ever done this in this way before I came along, and it's part of your identity and it's part of your legacy, and it's all of those things rolled into one. That's what writing is. Writing is hope. It is optimism. It is being a pessimist. It is beating back those self-doubts. It is all of those things. It is such a high. It is such a low. It's almost like a drug, when it captures you in its clutches. So, but I don't worry about that anymore. And I just, again, shut down that comparison. If you're thinking, okay, Hillary, that's great for you. I'm glad that works for you. But I had a really tough childhood and I had some trauma and things like that. And I had years and years and years on end of abuse and whatever. Sister, brother, I got you. Okay. Because I used to wake up every day and I would go, what is the point? It's just going to be a crappy day. Everything is hard for me. Everybody else gets this. I'm not supposed to have this. I'm not supposed to. I'm the reason disclaimers were written. I would say that. I would say these terrible, awful things. And it became a matter of I just got really tired of my own crap. And I thought, well, this is not working. Being this way, having this thought process is not working. Why don't I try a different way. And I did. And instead of saying, what do I have to do? I started saying, what do I get to do? And it is that little flip. So I tell you that because if you're like, man, I can't turn off the thoughts. I've thought this way for so long. I did for decades. Decades. I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't really have a personality. My personality was codependence, and with a splash of people pleaser, like a big splash, like, I don't know, like two shot glasses times four. That was my people pleasing. And so I'm telling you that because you can overcome this. There's a reason that you're writing, and it's because you love it. And I want you to let the love ride the love wave of it. Don't waste that time. So find yourself, read. Absolutely. Reading will help you. It will give you ideas. It will pour into your brain, new words, new ways of working through scenes. What if we have a cutaway scene here? We shift into the backstory or whatever it is. Or look at this. This person is introducing this information in a different way that I had not thought about. And that's actually pretty cool. And I think I want to explore that. I want to try and do it. I want to put my own spin on it, right? We read for inspiration. We also have to accept that at some point, and I don't know if I believe this or not, it's like people say everything has already been invented. So, you know, don't try and find a novel way of doing something. What a fatalistic way to think about your own potential. Why would you cut yourself off at the pass like that before you even got started? Why would you? Why can't everything be a possibility? We don't know things. Even if it feels like a bit of a regurgitation, you can still put your spin on it. My favorite way to apply this kind of analogy is through the use of cliches. When you use a cliche, but then you brighten it up, you use it, you modernize it, you change it up a little bit. It's an example. Yes, it's been said before, but I'm going to make it mine now, right? So read those books. There is a saying, and I think Stephen King says it, it's like, oh shoot. If you want to write, read. And if you want to read, write. It's like a flip side. If you can't write, read. If you can't read, write. So if you apply those things, they're very closely connected. And you can read different things. You don't have to read things about what you're working on. That's no big deal. So that's part of identifying what does this journey look like for me. First of all, it's that perfect self-love, not the toxic positivity, but it's shutting out all those negative thoughts. It's a perfect namaste. I love myself. Amen. Or enter whatever religion you like there, or non-religion, whatever. This is a no judgment zone. Music, books. Let's look at your scheduling. A lot of people find it really releasing, maybe is the word, or maybe sometimes just feasible to sit down and just blast through their content. I've been doing a thing with writers lately and authors they're like getting stuck. Okay. So they're saying, I've edited so far or I've revised so far in my book and now like I'm stuck and I don't know how to go further. And so then they sit on it, and then they start like grappling with those thoughts again and everything and it kind of holds them back and all of that. And so what we're doing is we're literally sitting down in 4 hours and just like blasting through it. So, are you a blaster? Are you a blazer? Are you a person who just wants to, I've got this idea, I want to write, I want to be done by like next Wednesday. So then I'm going to schedule all this time and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do it. And that's going to take priority. Or are you a chipper? I call these people chippers because what they'll do is they'll schedule um time to write. And some people go, I like to wake up early. I like to wake up like, hour earlier and start writing. When I hear that, that makes me sad because I can't do it. No. No, I've never ever been a morning person. As I get older, I get better, but that is just not a natural inclination for me. And this is not, I'm not here to tell you change how you are intrinsically and become a morning person or become a night person or subscribe to this sort of, lifestyle approach or whatever it is, right? I am not here to tell you that. I'm here to encourage you and say, hey, does this work for you? Is this how you move? Is this how you progress? Then that's what you do, you know. Nobody has the silver bullet to say, if you do this, you're going to be successful in writing, you're going to finish your book and everything else. I have a tiny silver bullet. It's not foolproof. I'm not going to share about it here, but I am going to tease it out until it makes you crazy because that's what I do. Just ask my husband. Um, so I want you to find the method that works for you. And writing is enough of stepping out. This is not the time for you to change holistically um, who you are. Look at your resources. Do you have more time or money resources? A lot of this podcast, we're going to talk about how do I get across that finish line so that it financially makes sense for me, right? And some people will listen and go, well, gosh, I'm pretty successful and I do have more money resources. And to those people, I say, that's great. And this is what I would do, based on their individual circumstances and their goals and distribution and things like that. What do they want to do? Is it a bucket list item? Is it a lead magnet? What is it? Is it a memoir? Whatever it is. If you have more time resources and you are excited to learn about book formatting and things like that, start exploring. Well, I have more time resources and I'm going to fill myself up with what this journey is going to be. I'm going to let myself in on these expectations. So then you can start planning and say, okay, I know at this stage, I'm going to work on this, then I'm going to work on this. And I know once I get at this stage, I might need a little bit more information, and this is who I'm going to reach out to, right? So you start kind of prepping that pipeline for yourself. You need to understand the various jobs that go into writing. Some people just like to jump right in and start writing, and then they're going to build the outline afterward. I can't tell you enough. I don't recommend that because you are being reactive and not strategic in that way. So, before you even write one word in that book, I do highly recommend that you do an outline. And this is very simple, easy, quick thing to remember. Every chapter has an objective, and there are supportive points under those objectives. Make it easy for your reader to understand. Look into formats. Check out some of your favorite books that you like, and especially those in a similar or same genre that you're writing in. And then you can emulate those formats. Take a look at those bestsellers. Why are they bestsellers? Is it because this information is easy to digest and the author did a fantastic job of simplifying a complex subject? What is it that is driving people to read it? How can you apply that genius to your work in your style, right? And then how do you want to write? Like we talked about. Do you want to write it, speak it, repurpose that content that you have? It doesn't even have to be like repurposing business content. One of my authors started writing when she was a tween, and she envisioned this whole story. So when she was in her 40s and she actually followed through and wrote it, she had to go back to those original writings, which was actually really cool because she's dredging up these old notebooks and reading through everything that she'd written. So repurposing can come in a variety of different ways, depending on if you're doing fiction or nonfiction. Are you speaking? When you are speaking it out, you're becoming a better writer, but you're also becoming a better communicator, a more effective communicator, because you're training yourself, you're training your pacing, absolutely going to train that and sit there in those few sentences and not panic to fill that gap. And you're opening your mouth a little bit more as you're talking to make sure that whatever program you're using can understand you. So you're going to really hit those syllables when you're using a transcription service. And as always, I can help you with what those transcriptions are and um, how to make the best of it. But those are two quick, simple tips to think about. And you can also do research into transcribing. Reach out to Danny too. Danny is a fabulous voice coach, absolutely fabulous. So we're happy to help you with that. And your writing, of course, what does that look like? How do I prepare? How do I carve out my time? What do I need to do? I have two vocal dogs, for instance. I love them dearly. Bobert is going to yap at anybody who comes by. And by yap, I mean threaten to eat them. That is what he is going to do. And it is loud and he is not responsive. So I know if I need quiet time, if I'm recording, he's either got to be with my husband, he's got to be upstairs in the bedroom, whatever it is. And then I have a puppy. And so I need to accommodate for her too, because she loves to dig in the trash. So figure that out. Do you have kids tromping in and out, whatever the case is? Make these moves for yourself. It's important. I like to say, when you've been written, oh, that's interesting. When you've been bitten by the writing bug, that's it. You might not write your book. You might not start, that week or even that month, even that year. You might not start for a couple of years, but that bug is like a neurotoxin. It's gonna just keep eating away at you until you sit down and do it. So you don't really have a choice. Um, Preparation before writing is weeding through some of the topics that you might want to talk about. I have people come to me all the time and they're like, listen, I've got several books in my head and I don't know which one to start with first. And it comes down to your gut. Your gut is a very important decider for you, right? Which direction is it moving? So if you said to me, hey, book number one is this idea, and book number two is this idea, and I said, okay, great, we're going to go with book number two, you would have an immediate emotional reaction to that. You would go, oh, I really wanted to do book number one. And that is perfect. Because it's not about sticking to that particular decision in the moment. It's about saying, why? Why did my gut say go in that direction? We know we need to follow our guts. We know that. So you have to decide on what that is. Is it easier to write book number one because you've never written a book before and the content is easier? It's maybe chronological, it's maybe based on a business you've been in for years and years. You already have content, you speak on this topic often, and you feel like you can just rattle that out pretty quickly and that'll get your feet wet. Is that one reason? Or is book number two your passion and you're so excited about it? There's just something about hiring a writing team. There's something about having somebody cheering you on and believing in your vision. And this lights you up. It gets you excited to wake up. It gets you excited to come home and the kids go to bed and you can go into the office or the spare bedroom or downstairs or wherever it is. That's your little hidey hole, your little haven, and you can write. And that makes you so excited then that's the direction that you go. But you can use this time to weed through that and talk to people. And maybe you have people behind you that are saying, hey, I'm going to help you finance this book, right? Or we believe in this book, and so we want to get behind it. That might influence your decision. But these are things that you need to decide. And you might need to do some research too. So, it depends on what the topic is. If you're writing a period piece about women in the Victorian era, do you know how they dress? Do you know how they speak? Do you know their mannerisms? Do you know their expectations? Do you know their frustrations? It's if you're writing, for instance, let's say you're writing a novel in the 1950s and it's set in the US. We And it's not science fiction, right? It's not so we're not laying down the foundation of like it's going to be different. So it's set in the US. We have to use that history. We have to use the cities. We have to use, things that have already gone to the US. Even if it is a fiction novel, which is redundant. So even if it is a fiction work, we have to do that. So you have to think about things like that. What is my research doing? If you have nonfiction, and boy, you have stats up and down the block about all kinds of things and wealth advising, financial advising, markets, stock markets, depreciation, investment, the likelihood of this thing being successful over this initiative because you've worked in it for years or whatever, you still have to back statistical and historical data up with credible research links and things of that nature. And finally, you have to decide what content you're going to work on first. So first of all, I would say outline, outline. I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough. It's much harder to create that outline after you've created the work because now you're trying to jam in this work you've created into a whole nother structure, right? And you might lose some of the kind of vivacity and the energy of it when you're trying to package it, you're repackaging it versus and you're being reactive. You're saying, well, I have this situation or these truths in front of me, which forces me to act like this in accordance with them, okay? Versus being strategic and saying, well, I'm going to lay this out right now and I wonder how my reader is going to react to it. So you're writing for that reader. It's interesting. It's kind of like when you give to a charitable organization and you do so because you believe in the cause and you want to help people, right? So secondarily, it just feels great. You just feel so good about it. But that's not the reason that you do it. You don't do it because it's going to make you feel good. You do it to make a difference. And writing is the same way. You're writing for the reader, but you're also honoring that, oh my gosh, it feels good. And I really enjoy it, you know. So those are the plateaus that you need to exist on, or the plateaus that you'll find yourself on, and how you exist on them is entirely up to you. When you get started, you've got all kinds of different things to work on. I advise working on the main content first. Just knock that right out of the park. Doesn't mean you need to go ping, 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 1 through 10. I'm going to work in this chronological order. You don't have to do that. You could go, wow, chapter 3 really lights me up. I love it. I love it. It just gets my juices flowing. I'm going to make sure that I work on that first, and then I'm going to circle back to 1. And then, I really like 9. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as you just keep flowing, whatever way that is to keep flowing. So working on that main content first, you can take a break. You can spring out and start working on the cover or whatever it is. I do advise getting that main content nailed down first. It is more pressing than some of the other extraneous content. So the majority of your focus should go to the main content, and then you can take little breaks here and there and work on some of those other extraneous pieces. So hopefully this helped you out a lot. I know I said I would keep this to 20 minutes. Man, I just really wind up and I just get going. I'm so passionate about this. I really want you to find your way across the finish line. I'm so happy to help you, and I'm just like thrilled to be on here again and doing this. I know, I mean, even when I retire, I'm going to be doing this. I mean, it was like the universe went, and here you go. This is for you. And you're just going to work on it until your dying breath. And I said, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope you appreciated it too. This has been episode 3 of Write Effing Now. We are going to be back in another week and hope you enjoy it. In the interim, you'll notice that we've got some shows that are videos, some shows that we are refurbishing or revitalizing that were just audio. And super fun stuff, though, just to make it all relevant for you. If you have any questions, you want to reach out in the meantime, you want to get started writing that book, please reach out to me. And I'm happy to help you in any way, shape, or form. And that's it for today's episode of Write Effing Now. We'll see you next week. Have a great one. And don't forget, write on.